Oh, we've got to talk about Arizona because it wasn't just Democrat operatives from the Biden campaign that were asking Twitter to censor posts. Oh no, someone else was getting in on the action, and we just found out who. Hey everybody, Damon Roberts here, and that's right, it wasn't just Democrat operatives who were asking Twitter to censor posts, and we just found out someone else who was taking part of the action, and you won't believe who it is. As if there weren't already enough problems coming from Arizona, now we learn this. Take a look at this headline. The stench from Arizona just continues to grow. It wasn't just Democrat operatives from the Biden campaign who were directing Twitter to censor posts unfavorable to Joe Biden's presidential prospects behind closed doors. We now know that Democrat gubernatorial candidate and supposed winner, Katie Hobbs, whose job at the time was sitting Secretary of State, also got in on the act. According to the Post-Millennial, they say Arizona Governor-elect Katie Hobbs is facing backlash as proof of her office requested for several tweets to be censored came out of Elon Musk's release of the Twitter files. The internal documents showing collusion between government officials, campaign teams, and other like actors with the social media giant to silence political dissident. On January 7, 2021, the communication director for Hobbs' Secretary of State office emailed the Center for Internet Security, CIS, a 501 nonprofit cybersecurity organization that, quote, makes the connected world a safer place for people, businesses, and governments through our core competencies of collaboration and innovation, according to their website. Ha ha ha. Seems to me that their core competency would be making the world a better place by silencing you. I'm flagging this Twitter account for your review, they said, Hobbs' communication director wrote to misinformation@cisecurity.org, linking to an unidentified profile. The subject line was election-related information. Now, remember, folks, this is somebody who wouldn't get on stage, who wouldn't debate with Kari Lake, who barely did any media, who barely put her face out there in public through this. So she took on the Joe Biden stay in your basement strategy for this whole election. Now, we've talked about Arizona. Republicans did well in Arizona. That's why it's been difficult to try to figure out how much fraud could have happened at the top of the ballot. Meanwhile, down ballot, Republicans picked up seats in the House, picked up seats in the Senate, did other good things in Arizona. And here you go now. Here's Katie Hobbs. You wonder why she didn't show her face. You wonder why she didn't debate. Was any of this known to anybody, or are we just truly finding out right now? Back to this. Thank you, Twitter wrote back. We will escalate. About 7 hours later, a Twitter employee wrote again, thank you. Both tweets have been removed from the service. Both tweets have been removed from the service. Copied on this response was an employee at Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, a branch under the federal government's Deputy of Homeland Security, DHS. And as the author writes, well, that's service with a smile. The Post-Millennial doesn't mention the topic, but the tweets in question concern claims by some obscure character with a low follower count that Arizona's electoral system was owned by foreign interests. So that's what the tweet was. Why that was so important at the time is something of a mystery, given the variety of claims out there. But it is known that Chinese involvement in electoral infrastructure did result in an arrest in California shortly after the New York Times reported that the claim was absurd. That Twitter jumped to the request to make the deletions without verifying whether Hobbs' office was telling the truth is questionable activity, given what we saw from the first Twitter files drop from Elon and Matt Taibbi. I don't think anything is unusual given what Twitter's actions and what they were doing. Now, we'll see what the continued drop. We've barely scratched the surface here, folks, of this thing. Make no mistake about it. And as Elon said, there are more smoking guns to come. There are things that happened after the election of 2020 that need to be found out. All the COVID misinformation, all the COVID stuff needs to be found out. There is so much more that needs to be found out. Like Jack Posobiec said, Elon Musk spent $44 billion to buy a crime scene is what he bought. And now he's trying to figure out how to get it out to us. What he's doing is truly unparalleled in American history, to great disservice to his own, not only well-being, but to his personal fortune. I don't think it's hard to argue what Elon Musk's doing. It really is unparalleled, what we're seeing right now. Hobbs' office made the censorship request to Twitter in January 2021 and then declared her candidacy for governor on June 2nd, 2021. So she must have been thinking about running at the time. It's unknown if there had been further communications with the Twitter office through the Department of Homeland Security since that date. The heavily redacted document found on page 46 of Elon Musk's Twitter document dump and viewable here, and they have a link to it, shows that the communicant was someone calling herself the communications director for the Arizona Secretary of State's office. Well, who might that be? Well, a Google search shows that name comes up to one C. Murphy Herbert, a former Democrat Party communications director for the legislature, whose apparent Twitter account, abandoned since 2016, reads as following: Arizona House Democrat Communications Director, occasional consultant, writer, and unabashed giggler. Ha ha ha. So she's been a Democrat operative for a while. Her LinkedIn page seems to have been blocked or deleted. We're having trouble loading the page, it says. Someone took a screenshot of her LinkedIn resume before it was blocked off. Look where else C. Murphy Herbert worked before she worked for Katie Hobbs. Director of Communications, Maricopa County Recorder. Her bio has also been scrubbed from the Arizona Secretary of State's office, though she is still listed as a communications director. That seems to have been blocked or deleted too. There appears to be no information at all about a communications director as the time of this article being written, with just a nameless form email for those who wish to communicate with her. Here is what I saw earlier. Someone also took a screenshot, and you can see here, thank you. Both tweets have been removed from the service. Thank you. Please see report below from Arizona Secretary of State's office. So here you have someone who didn't campaign, who there's already questions about how she won. Now she's threatening people with jail time if they don't certify her election. And now we're finding that they're scrubbing any history of someone who supposedly worked in her comms department when she was the Secretary of State from communicating with Twitter to censor her political operatives and her political opponents. Now, all of a sudden, we can't find anything about these people because it's being scrubbed off the website. Maybe there's a completely innocent explanation for Hobbs' office communicating with Twitter to censor the tweets, but the scrubbing in recent hours suggests maybe something isn't so innocent. Why the scrubbing if everything was on the up and up? And boy, isn't that a good question. Why this behavior? And more to the point, what other tweets did Hobbs' office call on Twitter to have censored? Did she have tweets of her rival Kari Lake shadow banned too? Unlike that of the Biden campaign calling to censor tweets regarding the Hunter Biden laptop and all of its revelations about that loser, this is coming from somebody who's actually right now in government, thinking about running for governor at the time. This is a state actor looking to shut down tweets from her political opponent, her political rival. Not exactly the same. Some would maybe argue worse. This is a bona fide state case of state-sponsored censorship done under the cover of darkness, and Twitter was happy to serve as the loyal lapdog for all of it. By mid-2021, Hobbs running for governor of the state as well as counting the votes, so things got real convenient. Arizona's Republican candidate on the short end of the stick, Kari Lake, has begun probably a series of lawsuits alleging voter suppression. Well, it seems that the voter suppression wasn't just limited to curiously broken voting machines. On a mass scale in Maricopa County, as votes were counted, there may well have been voter suppression of voters through Twitter as well, in what undoubtedly appears to be an undeclared campaign contribution from Twitter to the Hobbs campaign. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has rightfully called for a congressional investigation of this voter suppression and these undeclared campaign contributions, as Twitter seems to have served as an all-services clearinghouse for Democrats of every stripe in office and out. That can't happen soon enough. Something is starting to smell very bad coming out of Hobbs' office in Arizona. And I think that's about right. She seems very desperate. People were questioning the move to say certify or face jail time. So she seems to be in a hurry. And now obviously we find this out, which obviously should not be allowed to stand what happened here. This is absolutely outrageous. The administration, and now we find out Katie Hobbs and the Secretary of State, and as Monica Showalter from The American Thinker rightly points out, the stench from Arizona just continues to grow. So that's the story out of Arizona. We will continue to follow it. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow our sponsors, of course, at MyPillow.com. Use our code LFS6B at checkout for 10 to 60% off all of your holiday shopping. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.